The First World War, a global conflict that engulfed Europe from 1914 to 1918, was a tragedy of unprecedented scale. It was a war that many believed would be over by Christmas, but it instead dragged on for 4 long years. The world watched in horror as millions of soldiers marched off to fight in a war that would redefine modern warfare. The world had never seen a war like it before. The use of machine guns, poison gas, and tanks made the battlefields of World War I a horrifying spectacle. Millions of soldiers perished in the trenches, victims of both enemy fire and the terrible conditions. The war had a profound impact on the course of the 20th century. It led to the collapse of empires, the redrawing of national boundaries, and the rise of new ideologies. It also left behind a legacy of death, destruction, and political instability that would shape the world for generations to come. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914, was the spark that ignited the powder keg of Europe. Yet the assassination was merely the trigger. Deeper issues had been simmering for decades. A complex web of alliances, fueled by nationalism and imperialism, entangled the nations of Europe. Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy formed the Triple Alliance. France, Russia, and Great Britain countered with the Triple Entente. This system of alliances meant that a conflict between any two nations could quickly escalate into a wider war. Nationalism, the intense pride in one's nation, fueled rivalries and a desire for dominance. Imperialism, the quest for colonial empires, created competition for resources and territories. This competition further strained relations between the European powers. These underlying tensions created a climate ripe for conflict. The main combatants in World War I were the Allied powers and the Central Powers. The Allied powers included France, Russia, and Great Britain. Italy initially joined the war on the side of the Central Powers, but switched sides in 1915. The United States joined the Allied powers in 1917. The Central Powers consisted of Germany, Austria, Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. The Western Front, characterized by trench warfare, became synonymous with the brutality of World War I. Millions of soldiers faced each other across a desolate no-man's land, riddled with barbed wire and landmines. The Battle of the Somme, one of the bloodiest battles in human history, exemplified the horrors of this new kind of warfare. Technological advancements, including machine guns, tanks, and poison gas, made World War I a horrifyingly efficient killing machine. The war saw the first use of airplanes and submarines in warfare, further changing the nature of combat. Key battles like the Battle of Verdun and the Battle of Passchendaele resulted in staggering losses on both sides. The armistice of November 11, 1918, marked the end of hostilities on the Western Front. The Allied powers emerged victorious, but the cost of victory was staggering. The war left an estimated 40 million casualties, including 20 million dead. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war. The treaty, however, imposed harsh penalties on Germany, including territorial losses, disarmament, and crippling reparations. These punitive measures sowed the seeds of resentment that would contribute to the outbreak of World War II. World War I had a profound and lasting impact on world history. It led to the collapse of empires, including the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, and Russian empires. It also resulted in the redrawing of the map of Europe with the creation of new nations like Czechoslovakia and Yugoslavia. The war shattered the illusion of progress and ushered in an era of uncertainty and disillusionment.